We continue our reflection by reading from the Gospel of John chapter 6 verses 44 to 51, which are a continuation of the discourse on the bread of life. In these verses, Jesus invites anyone and everyone who is hungry, not merely physically hungry, but also spiritually hungry, to come to him, because he can offer them what is known as the bread of life, spiritual bread along with physical bread. He gives an example of the physical bread which was eaten in the desert. When the people in the desert complained to Moses, God gave them manna from heaven. However, that manna got corrupted the next day. That manna satisfied only temporarily. That manna was able to satisfy only the external hunger. Jesus reminds them of what their ancestors went through when the ancestors became hungry again. And he invites them instead to look at him as the living bread. And this phrase, living bread, once again reminds us that Jesus wants us to regard him. Jesus wants us to realize that he is not merely a God who will satisfy our physical needs. He will do that surely because he is concerned in a very tangible manner about each one of us. However, his concern does not stop there. If his concern stopped there, he would be no more than a grocer. He would be no more than a milkman. He would be no more than a baker. He would be able to satisfy those needs. Those needs are satisfied by these individuals. However, Jesus is much more than a baker and than a grocer. He is God and God's only Son, and that is why he can satisfy our spiritual needs. So we turn to him and we ask him for this bread. And at the end of the verses he says, anyone who eats this bread will live forever. And the reason why he will or she will do that is because the bread that he gives is his life for the life of the world. His own life, his own flesh is given as life for the life of the world. What does this phrase mean? What does this sentence mean? It means that he gives himself entirely to anyone who asks him. He holds nothing back of himself. He makes himself available to others in the hope that others will be inspired by his own availability and will become available to others. Will I, in imitation of Jesus, become bread for at least one person today?